Hey guys, so I decided that today's Daddy in the Raw Dad blog post needed a little bit of an intro video. And, first I just want to say that, it's not, my post today about bullying isn't a sob post. It's not meant to be read that way. It's meant to be kind of factual, and it's supposed to be a little bit encouraging for those of you that might have grown up bullied or are being bullied right now or have kids that are being bullied. It does eventually go away, but the scars do run very, very deep, and it becomes a part of you. Personally, I feel that having grown up bullied, I'm actually stronger for it. I'm a better person for it. And, I grew up in the 80s where bullying was, people making fun of me for my race, for my eyes, for being from a certain part of the world or where they think I was from, for, playing piano, for not being good at sports. It was a good old fashioned beatdown. It was people smacking, lunches out of my hand and throwing balls at my face and, trying to pants me in the bathroom. And, that was bullying in the 80s, and it was very verbal. It wasn't as psychological. It seems to be, these days, even though it has it has a backdrop of psychological harm, but the way it was expressed was very physical and very in your face, very verbal, because social media wasn't around and texting wasn't around and, Snapchat wasn't around. None of that stuff was around. It was, the way people got bullied was, in person. The second aspect of this post really is just kind of a reflection of what your responsibilities are as a parent, as a person. If you're reading this as, because you're my colleague and you know me as, Dr. Ben Fung, just kind of a general revisitation. I kind of like, this thing that I saw with my wife on Captain America. Like, he got involved, per the story, because he doesn't like bullies. He doesn't like when somebody stands above somebody else. And I think part of the solution isn't necessarily knocking the person who's trying to stand up down. It is standing with the person who somebody is trying to stand over. I think the last couple of thoughts I had about this post that I wanted to make as an intro video is that, it's becoming a quickly evolving issue. It's very sensitive, it's very emotional, and it's easy to get people really riled up, especially in a climate where everything needs to be appropriate and politically correct, and we have to be sensitive and all that kind of stuff. I think some of that plays into the problems. With all the participation awards where everybody's special, everyone's a winner, that kind of stuff. I think that has actually made bullying worse in how our kids are experiencing it today. Right before I sat down for this video recording, I was thinking, well, man, what if my son gets bullied? He's still a toddler. That type of bullying doesn't quite exist unless it's older kids, coming down on him. What will I do? And I'm not quite sure. It kind of hurts to think about, and I know that for the most part, I think parents feel very helpless. They try to get involved and typically things get worse, right? Don't you do that to my kid. And then, that kid's gonna get it later because you can't protect your child every single time. But I think that maybe we can foster a culture where we learn to protect each other. We learn to stand up for each other. I think standing with is always going to be more powerful than, I think standing with is always going to be more powerful than standing up to, right? Because that's what the bully wants. The bully wants that attention. The bully wants to be on his own little pedestal, right? And again, I'm a big nerd, unabashed. Look behind me. I even reference the Girl Meets World episode from the Disney Channel in my in the post below that you'll be seeing. And the thing about like Captain America and the Avengers and Loki, right, was what ended up happening there was somebody was trying to stand up and he wanted to stand up above everyone, to put them beneath him, and that's what he wanted, right? He wanted that negative attention, and I think again, going back to the Captain America example, you remember that scene, the old man stands up and says, we won't be afraid of people like you. And then Captain America comes to defend him and stands up with him, not up against Loki per se. Eventually it had to come to that, but it had more to do with, I think standing up with the person in defense of the person, the defense of the victim. That is always going to be more effective than trying to, to quote, beat the bully back and that kind of stuff, which I did try. I ended up, that's how I got into martial arts, was I was getting so physically bullied that I needed, to use martial arts to defend myself physically. But it actually didn't end up helping. I actually ended up getting in more fights because all of a sudden, this kid knows martial arts. And so, let's test him. So I'm rambling. Again, I just meant for this to be a short intro video to the blog post. You can see it at my my dad blog, daddyintheraw.com. I guess that's kind of it. I'll stop recording. If you want to chat a little bit, that's fine. It'll just be kind of off the record. But yeah, so it's kind of a somber post. That's usually not me, but I just felt so compelled. You'll read about it in the blog post. I just felt very compelled to share it. And it was it was a post that was over a year in the works. I kept writing it, kept editing it, but I just feel like it needs to be shared. Just like my ADHD post earlier this week, that it needed to be shared. And that's kind of what this Daddy in the Raw dad vlog is all about. It's the raw look at my life. And, now that I'm, I feel like there's a lot of conversations that I'm being involved with. I think that it's important to conversate also about, some of the harder topics and to do so in a more or less, logical and sound reason, less emotionally, amped up platforms, just where we can kind of just reason together and hopefully come up with solutions, and maybe have some laughs along the way, that I have plenty of laughs about my having ADD. So, all right, I'm going to stop recording. I keep blabbing. Haha.